So, numbers 1 and 2 and 3, these are really easy because you don't even have to, do anything except use the vertical line test, okay? So remember the vertical line test is, I'm just going to go through vertically each little grid. And I'm going to see if there's more than 2 points on any vertical line. Is there 2 points on this line?
No.
Is there 2 points on that line?
No.
Is there 2 points on this line? No. 2 points on this one? 2 points on this one? This one? There's none. And then this one? No. So if there's not more than 2 points on one line, it is a function. So this, you could put yes or function or anything to indicate that this is a function. Okay? Any questions on that one? Same thing for number 2. And we see that immediately this has 2 points, and this has 2 points, and this has 2 points. So this one is not a function. And the same thing for number 3. Now number 3 could throw you off because there are consecutive dots are points on a horizontal line. But this is not a horizontal line test. This is a vertical line test. So there's no more than, no vertical line has more than 1 point on it. So this one is a function. And if we were to, we could actually write this equation. This would be really easy to write this equation. This is y equals 2. Y equals 2. So if you started off with this, and it said to graph it, this is what it would look like. It would look like with a dot on where y is 2, and then a horizontal line through that. So you didn't have to do that, but that's what that meant. Now number 4, it says write the equation in function form. When we write in function form, that's the same thing as slope-intercept form. That means get y by itself. Now it doesn't tell us to do anything else. We don't have to graph it. We're not identifying the intercepts or anything like that. We are just writing this in function form. So to get y by itself, what's the first thing I would do? Subtract 3x from both sides. Now I'm going to rewrite it like this because that's just how kind of it looks like standard form. Okay. Now, what would I do next? Divide every number by 5, which leaves me with y equals negative 3/5 x minus 2, because negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Now you could have written plus negative 2 here. Now I know that the problem doesn't tell us to do this, but what does all this mean? What is the number in front of x? Slope. So is that line positive or negative? Negative, because the slope is negative. We would fall 3 and equals 23, which means 5 times what number minus 6 times negative 3 equals 23. So this is just a standard equation like we did kind of at the beginning of the year. So this would end up being 5x plus, because negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18, equals 23. Then I would subtract 18 from both sides. And when I do that, I get 5 times what equals 5. Divide both sides by 5, and I get 1. there's kind of a couple different ways to do it. So this way is wanting to know, can you identify the intercepts? Because you're going to use that later in Algebra 1 for other things besides just this. So I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm going to replace y with 0. So I'm going to get 18 times what equals 90. Divide both sides by 18, and I get that x equals 5. So 5, 0, which is right here. And then you would connect the dots and draw your line. Now on number 13, I would allow you, even though the directions are still technically identify the intercepts, most of the time what you're doing here is this is in intercept form, and so it's real easy to find the intercepts. When it's in this form right here, anybody want to throw out a guess? What's the easiest way to graph this?
You go like -2 and then go down and then go up.
Yes. Yes. So because this equation is written in slope-intercept form, the easiest way to graph this, is to look, what's the y-intercept? -2, which is right here. 0, -2. What's the slope? -2/3, which means I'm going to go both directions. I'm going to fall 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to run 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? And then I'm going to reverse it to go the other direction. So I'll rise 2 and go this way, 1, 2, 3. Now, from that line right there, can we identify the intercepts? Where this line crosses the y-axis and where it crosses the x-axis. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and connect your dots, right? Because that's part of the problem, is graphing it. Okay, so now I can see without having to do any math, without having to solve for anything. Now you could have worked it where you replaced y with 0 and found x, or and then replaced x with 0 and found y. But then you would have been doing some unnecessary math there, right? Okay, so on this one, by just using the y-intercept and the slope, I can automatically identify where the intercepts are. So the first intercept would be 0, 2, and the other intercept would be -3, 0.
Is it 0, -2?
0, -2, my bad. So here's 0, -2, and then this one is -3, 0. So to get this right, you would have had to identify the intercepts, and you would have had to draw a graph it. Now, if you did it a different way, but you still got the right answer, that's fine. Okay? Yes?
So put it like in the
Okay, number 14. Find the slope of the line to the given points. This was one of the earlier lessons. This was the first half of the chapter. Remember, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 for all of these. Same formula for all of these. And then you would just go through here and identify, here's x1, y1, x2, y2 for all of them. And it's just the same thing. So for number 14, you would have gotten -5 over 6. But on number 14, because you would have had 30 minus 15 over 16 minus 34, and it reduces down to -5.
-15 over 8.
Right, which reduces down to -5 over 6.
Do we have to simplify it?
Because 30 minus 15, so 30 minus 15 over 16 minus 34. And you end up getting 30 minus 15 is positive 15, but 16 minus 34 is -18. And then this reduces to that. On number 15, you would have ended up with 5 over 4. And then on number 16, it would have been 0. What? Because on 16, so y2 is 5 minus y1, which is -5, right? Over 6 minus 36. end up adding them together, but you just have to solve more. So they want us right here to solve this equation by replacing x with 2. Okay, so we're going to find f of x by replacing x with 2. So what is negative 2 minus 5? Negative 7. Yeah. Okay, now I need to remember that because that's going to go right here, and I'm going to end up adding it to what I find here. So here they want me to replace this equation, and they want me to make x be 3. So what is 2 times 3 plus 3? It ends up being 9. So now they want me to add them together. So what is negative 7 plus 9? 2. So that's what they want me to do here. Now on the test, you're not going to end up, you're just going to solve the equation. You're not going to end up adding to what you solve together. But that's how you do it. So we're going to do the same thing here, except I'm going to replace, now I'm going to replace, so now I'm going to replace x here with negative 4. So what's the opposite of negative 4? Positive 4. And then what's 4 minus 5? Negative 1 for that one. And then I'm going to replace this one with negative 6. So what is 2 times negative 6 plus 3? Equals negative 9. So now I'm going to add these two together. Negative 1 plus negative 9, which is negative 10. On that. Okay, and the same thing here. If I were, that's wrong. Okay, on this one, I'm going to replace x with 0. What's the opposite of 0? 0. What's 0 minus 5? Negative 5. And I'm going to add that to 2 times 0 is 0 plus 3. So what's negative 5 plus 3? Negative 2. For that one. Alright, on 25. They want me to write an equation of the line with those ordered pairs. These are two ordered pairs. This one is 0, 12, and this one is 3, negative 2. So could I write an equation? Yes. I'm going to start out with y equals mx plus b. Now, between those two ordered pairs, can I identify what the b is, what the y-intercept is? What's the y-intercept? 12. So I know it's going to be 12 because when x is 0, y is 12, so there's my y-intercept. Now, how do I find the slope?
y2 minus y1 over x.
So y2 is negative 2 minus y1, which is 12, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 0. What's negative 2 minus 12? Negative 14. What's 3 minus 0? 3. Can I simplify that? No. So my equation ends up being y equals negative 14 over 3x plus 12. On that one. And I'm going to do the same for the rest of them. I'm going to identify, okay, the ordered pair is negative 1, 4, and 0, negative 5. This one is 0, negative 1, and 5, 8. And then this one is 9, 1, and 0, 0. And I'm going to do the same thing. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And then, on all of these, can I tell which one the y-intercept is? Look for the ordered pair where x is 0 and the y is your y-intercept. So here, my y-intercept is going to be negative 5. Here it's going to be negative 1. And here it's going to be what? 0. Now, how do I do the slope? This formula here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Minus 1 is just 1. 2, and if I replace y with 0, I get what? Replace y with 0. 2x equals -2. Divide by both sides by 2, and you get what? X equals -1. And immediately you can tell what can you see? Where are these lines going to cross? -1, 0.
But,
I graphed it and I wrote it down wrong. Like at the final.
That's fine. So because this turns out, this doesn't give you a perfect number, it's really hard on this graph to graph 3/2, which is 1 1/2. It's hard to graph. I mean, you can do it. 0, 1 1/2 ends up being right here. And then your other point is 0, -1, and you draw your line. And then for this one, your line 0, -2, and -1, 0. And you can see that they're going to cross right here.
how is that like that? Because when I put it in slope-intercept form,
Yeah, because I'm telling you bypass the slope-intercept form, because that's going to be, you're not going to be able to see this because you end up with so many improper fractions. So use the intercepts for that one. Yes.
I graphed it right now, but I forgot when those crossed off.
Just take half off. So you can see there that would cross at that point. On this one, graph the inequality, we're going to graph it just like it was y equals. So I'm going to identify the y-intercept, which is 0, 3. And then the slope is -4/1. So that means I fall 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. Fall 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. And I have enough. Now, would I connect those dots with a solid line or a dotted line? Dotted. Why?
Because it's greater.
Because it's a greater than sign. So I'm going to dotted line. Now, the next thing to do would be shade. How do I know where to shade? I'm going to plot the point 0, 0, which is right here, by replacing both x and y with 0. Is 0 greater than 0 plus 3? Is 0 greater than 3? No. So since this is not true, guess what would be true? Everything on the other side.
So you don't have to get the line up.
Yeah. And then on number 31, same thing. I'm going to graph the 0, -2, which is here. My slope is negative. I'm going to fall 1, 2, 3, run 1, 2, and then I need to reverse it. Rise 1, 2, 3, run 1, 2 this way. Is it going to be a solid line or a dotted